Hi everybody, it's Janet with Fruit of the Vine Art Studio here, and it's Saturday at noon, and I'm coming on today to do a little harvest time painting with you that I'm actually going to do on an 18-inch wooden cutout that I've got. And the cutout is in the shape of a pumpkin. So this is going to be something a little fun. And instead of just making the traditional pumpkin, I thought it would be more fun if we actually put a scene on it. So now I've already got my scene drawn and ready. I'll show it to you here. It's Scarecrow with a windmill in the background. And that's what we're going to be painting on this pumpkin. And it's a pretty big pumpkin, as you could see when I held that up. That's pretty large, actually. So without any further ado, I don't want to waste a lot of time telling you what I'm going to do. In fact, let's get started and get doing. So here we go. Let me turn you down here. Make sure you can see it. That looks pretty good. Let's get these papers out of the way so that the light doesn't get blocked. And that right there needs to be moved. There we go. That looks pretty good. I think you can see it all right now pretty well with enough of the light. I try to get these. I've got 3 small lights that I use, and I'm trying to make sure that they're all aimed in this direction. And that's why you'll see like ring lights on my eyes when I'm talking, because they're actually aimed for painting, not necessarily for my being there yickety-yakking all the time, which I do an awful lot of, I know. Hey, now when you jump on, I'd really appreciate it if you would just say, hey, hi, how you doing? Tell me where you're from. I really appreciate knowing that you're here. If you're watching it on a replay, that looks like that's pretty. I'm not going to be able to get it out that way, so I'm going to have to take that off and soak it. So I'm just going to get some yellow out. Do it the old-fashioned way. Just turn this bottle upside down and get some paint. That ought to be plenty. I'm going to be using pretty simple colors for this. We're going to be doing some yellow, some orange, red, and black. So that should be pretty much very simple colors to have. And if you don't have the orange, well, that's even easy. All you do is just mix some of that red and that yellow together, and you're going to get an orange. So don't worry about that either. It's really 3 colors. We only need yellow, red, and black. Okay, so now to start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my chip brush. And I've had people ask, what in the world is a chip brush? A chip brush is, they're cheap dollar brushes, really. Well, you can get them at like Home Depot for $1. They're different sizes. You can get a 2-inch one, you can get a 1-inch one, you can get a 1/2 inch, you can get all kinds of different sizes. To start for this, I'm going to use my big 2-inch brush. And I'm just going to dip it in the water and get it wet. I don't want it to be soaking wet, so I'm going to shake that water off to where the brush is just wet, so it'll be more pliable when I put it in the paint. And I'm going to start in the middle, not in the middle, I'm going to start behind the scarecrow. Actually, I'm going to start behind the scarecrow with the yellow. And I'm just going to put it right in this area, a nice amount of it. Actually, I'm going to get more than that. I just want a nice amount of yellow back here. And then I'm going to go into this orange. And I want the orange to be behind the yellow here. I'm just going to kind of let them blend together. I'm not going to be too worried about the blend of it. And then I'm going to dip into this red. And I'm going to bring that on out around the outside of this. Right on the outside of the orange, and just cover the whole outside of the pumpkin with this red color. May need to get me a little bit more here. Oh, there went my ring light. There we go. Turn that right back on. You are not getting to go off. Let me get a little more red. There we go. And I'm just covering the whole pumpkin here. left over with this red color. Get it a little thicker. I'm not too worried about down there at the bottom because that's actually going to be black when we get going here. And I got a little thing right here that I'm going to get off. Gotta be careful where I'm flicking that. I'll end up with red all over my shirt. And that's not what I'm looking to do here. I'm not looking to paint my shirt. But we are looking to cover the entire thing here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of these hairs off of here. I can see them from this brush. This brush hasn't been used yet. And a lot of times new brushes do lose quite a bit of hair. So I'm just going to take that and rub it off just like that. Okay, now while this is still wet, what I really want to do is I'm going to rub most of the red off with my brush on a paper towel. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to bring it and I'm going to pull it out like this. From behind the scarecrow. I want these colors to just sort of blend in together, coming out with this red and this orange. Let me pull that off of there. Now you think, why did you bother with all that yellow? I'm going to put more of it on there too, actually, because I want the yellow to radiate also. But I'm trying to get a bit of an orange-looking radiation of color behind it back here. And where those hairs are coming off, I'm just sort of taking my brush and tilting it down and pushing it towards the edge. And that pushes all the little bristles that are all over right off. Okay, see how that's looking now? I'm going to get me some more of this yellow. And I'm just going to go right behind the scarecrow here. First, I'm going to pull these that I can see trying to come off here. I'm just going to pull them off. And I'm going to go right behind the scarecrow here with this yellow. And I'm just going to turn it that way. I'm going to turn it this way. Let me get some more. I'm going to pull it that way. I'm going to turn it and pull it this way. I'm trying to get the yellow to be shining from behind him. I'm going to get a little bit more. Because he's actually going to be painted black. There we go. I don't need much more. That'll do it. Hey, when you pop on, I'd love it if you'd say hi. I appreciate you joining me today. I love Saturdays. And I'm going to be, I've got a few things coming up this upcoming, not this week, but next week. So I am going to be preparing some videos for you. If you have checked the calendar, you have seen that, there are no lives for 3 different dates this month. I'm going to pull that right off of there. I'm not too worried about what it does right here, actually, because this is going to be black behind him. But I do want to just kind of smooth it out just a little bit so it doesn't got a big drag finger through it. Okay, and that's pretty good. I'm going to leave it just as it is right there. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to let this portion of this dry. And while it's drying, we're going to go ahead and get the red. I'm getting it on my fingers, getting it all over me. We're going to take the red, and we're going to get a little bit of black. We need to get a little black out. Need some more red because I need very little black. But I'm going to muddy up my red a little bit here is what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to darken this up a little bit, get the red darkened up some. So I'm just going to touch one touch of my brush, boop, into that black, just to get it across the bottom of it. And then I'm going to pull this red off here. And I'm going to darken it up some. Just make me a darker looking red. I might even make it just a little bit darker. Go to where I flick that off and bring some of that, more of that black into it. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to offload, which means I'm going to rub most of that off of there. Is what I'm doing. I'm taking it and rubbing it on the plate, getting most of it off of there. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to go right behind where he is here. And I'm just going to kind of bring this over here this way. And take this darker red and I'm just dragging it on here. All across this area here. I need to get a little more. And I'm going to start in this area over here. And I'm just going to kind of bring it and drag it in here. Right behind the scarecrow. Get that off of there. And right in front of where this windmill's legs are. And we're just not going to completely fill it in. We want it to have variation back in there. And you don't want it to be quite as dark right in here. So we're going to peel some of this off. And then we can take this and just sort of wiggle it back and forth to get us a ground line here. Oop, get out of the way. Okay, so now we can kind of see where the sun is in the back and the sky, and then we see down here where the ground area is. Okay? Now what I need to do is I need to hit it real quick with a hair dryer, to tell you the truth, so that we can move forward with the next part, which is going to be filling in all of the black. I can see a spot right there where there's crazy hair. I'm not too worried about this down in here. This is going to be a grass area down here. So if I can get a hold of that down there and peel it upward. There we go. Just going to rub that in. I'm going to take this darker red while we're waiting. I'm going to hold this since that's kind of dry. And I'm going to hit it around the edge of the pumpkin while we're waiting on that to dry. I don't have to worry too much about this because this would be more black down in this area. I'm really just trying to get it around this side here. And over here, on this, about right here, I'm just wanting to darken that up with this red. Let me see if I got it all. I'm going to go from the other side too, from the back side towards it. That helps put it on there a little thicker. Okay, and then we'll just set this down for a moment. That's still drying, and I can see that that pushed a little extra paint up on the edges here that I'm just going to pull off. Very simple. You can see that this is something there. I got that off easy enough, whatever that was. Just sort of drag that right there, not be too worried about that. Now I'm going to take the lighter red and I'm going to put that along the top area up here. But for now, we're not going to worry about that. I'm waiting on this yellow to dry in this area right here. So that we can go ahead and paint the black. I'm going to hit it real quick with my blow dryer. So I do apologize in advance. This is going to be a little loud, but hopefully it'll be very quick. So, here we go. Just hurrying up to try to get this dry here in the middle. just going to do this as quickly as I can. I apologize. I'm sorry I got to do this, but here we go. That looks pretty good to me. That's pretty dry. And I was thinking about it while I'm doing it there. Actually, I do need a little bit of the darkness in the sky up here to make this have the right reflections here. So I'm just going to take this and wipe off my brush a little bit and go into this darker red. And I'm just going to kind of take it from the edges and drag it in towards the sky. And try to get this all the way around the outside while I'm at it. And then we've got some of this darker red in the sky up in here too. And you can even bring it along and just sort of flick your brush back and forth to give your sky some variation. Getting this on my other brush sitting here. I'm so sorry, you're too close to the action. Let me scoot you all out of the way. See how that changes up the sky? How that gives it a whole different kind of look? Just taking that darker red and I'm just sort of just moving it a little bit back and forth in spots. Let me get a little bit more and we'll work on this side. Just kind of dragging it over the edges. Now don't worry about how it's looking right there because I'm going to take my brush and just sort of move it back and forth a little bit. Just move it back and forth a little in different spots. Not all of it. It doesn't all have to be covered with that darker color. You're just trying to bring it in from the outside to give your sky a much more of a sunset look, isn't it? I really think so. I think that really just popped it up there. Just merely doing this really made a difference. I can put just a little bit through here, and maybe a little in here. Let me get a little more to go on the edge over here. And then I'm just going to take my brush like I did before, turn it sideways, and just sort of dash it back and forth. Just dashing it back and forth in different little spots. And mainly around the edge here. There now. I think that makes it much better. It gives it more of a dark evening glow to it, don't you think? I think so. I think that gives it a lot darker glow. And then let's get just a little more yellow. And just bring it a little bit. And kind of bring it out from behind him like it's just shining through. There. I think that looks pretty good, just like that. Maybe, where is that yellow? Kind of just trying to kick it up just a notch here. Give me a little more of that yellow out. You saw me take that big tube. I got to take that tube and soak it in water. It's going to be the only way I'm going to get all that paint out of there. It's dried up on the inside. I haven't used the pump in a long time. And when you don't, well, that's what happens. And I'm going to make the sun really coming out from behind this guy. So I needed that yellow to dry so that we could get another load of that on behind him. I'm just sort of trying to drag it to where it's got streaks coming out. Using this 2-inch chip brush. That's what I'm using here. And then I'm just going to put a little more yellow right in here. There. I think that's all I need to do with the yellow. Now I am done with my chip brush. And I've got it covered all the way around the edge. Oh, just about in just about every spot. Let me just take my finger and rub a little more paint right in here. There we go. And I'm going to turn this around, guys, to where it's facing me. And that way all the wet is up in here. And let me see, I can see that this whatever that is, looks like a little spot of black paint. I am just going to blend it in right there. Whatever that is. And I can see that hair right there. If I pull it off. Good. That didn't hurt anything either. Good, 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 good. Here's one here. Let me pull that off too. Just trying to get the extra bristles that I can actually see out of the way. Any little thing that really shouldn't be on the canvas, which it isn't a canvas, it's a board. Just like that right there, whatever this is. It's a glob of paint. There we go. And then let me get just a drop of the orange to kind of fill in where I pulled that. All right. I think that looks really nice. We're going to start now with working on our little windmill here. I'm going to turn windmill, not meal. It's not a meal. Nobody's eating it. It's a mill. It blows the wind around, as is its purpose. It's a weather vane, so to speak, really. Okay, let me just take this, and what we're going to do first is we're just going to drag this down. Just push it down. Bring it down so far. Don't be too intimidated by it. We're going to do another one right next to it. You want to try to get them all starting in about the same spot and ending in about the same spot so that they're about the same length. And sort of round it at the end. Now, we're not going to stress about this being real perfect here, I'm telling you. I'm not going to worry a bunch about that. This is just going to be... I mean, it's definitely not perfect in the first place. We can see that by looking at the drawing. It's not complete. It's not correct, but that's okay. It's going to do. We're just going to bring this one across here. And I'm trying to kind of lift it up as I get to the other end. I press down towards the middle. I'm going to put this right in here. And then you can see I've got a couple more drawn in the background there that's going to have to be pulled in somehow. So I'm just going to pull this very lightly in here. Right through there. I'm not going to worry about how it looks odd. I'm not even going to concern myself with that. It's just going on because I drew it on there. So it's more of a flower look than it is a windmill, but that's okay. We're going to pull one right in here just to kind of keep it consistent, and one right here just to kind of keep it consistent. I'm not going to worry about it looking odd. Just kind of pull this over here. Pull this one over here and this one over there. And then this comes off the end of it here and comes up in a triangular design. Just bring it out that way. That's coming out of the back of it. And you think anybody's going to critique your windmill here. Don't worry about it. Jeez, Pete's, it's okay. Put the ring around it here. Just, oops, getting it on my arm. Just drag a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then we're going to do another one in the middle. Closer to the middle. Make another ring on your windmill. And then go right to the very middle of it and put a dot. It still looks odd, but it's okay. Don't worry about that. Now we're going to take this, just press it down, pull it all the way down, and then just sort of bring it over a little. It's a little shadow. And this thing has 4 legs, but we only see 3 of the 4. Okay, so we're going to pull this one down. And then just bring it over a little bit for the shadow. Going to do it again. Now, when you do this, this one needs to be the longest. And these two need to be about even. So this one's going to end at about right here. So we're just going to take it, pull it down, stop about right here, and then pull it over for a little shadow. Now there's bars that literally hold this up too. So there's 2 bars that are coming from this angle to here and over to here that hold it up right in the front. And then in the back, we're just going to make a little line and a little line as an indication of that other foot, the other leg that's back behind this. Now we're going to take our black and we're just going to, let me get some of the paint off. We want to offload the black again on our paintbrush, and we're just going to kind of drag it along right in here around our little area. You don't want to get too much, but you want some, because this is where it's going to be darker at the hillside area, just a little bit. And it gives the indication of some different mounds of dirt and where the ground might be, and it kind of blends in your shadow a little better. See how I'm kind of working the little shadow ends right here, trying to work it in just a little bit, maybe a little more darkness in between. Bring this one over a little bit. But we don't want to get all caught up in that. But we are going to add, while we've got our brush just a little darkened, we're going to add a little bit of the dark in spots. We're not adding black all over, just some spots back there further, behind where the scarecrow is. All right, and then let's turn it this way. And we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to add some of the dark, get our black, offload, 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 offload. You can get your offload here too. You can put it right in there, because that's going to also be black. But then we're going to put some of the black back here and back in here. Just drag you a couple of spots wherever it's a little thicker at. Don't worry about it. It's not going to hurt it, because we're just making areas where it looks like there may be a hill of dirt. We're not sure. But it just works itself out, whatever that is, right? That's all that matters. It just works itself out back there in the background, looking like ground, because that's what we want it to be, looking like ground. And then we're going to have some dark over here, kind of just coming in the side a little bit. And over here, coming in the side just a little bit, just dragging it over. Just on this sides. I'm going to leave this more of this lighter looking red back in there. That, which, not really light, but that other variation of our red back there. And we're just going to go ahead and use this brush, dip into the black, and we're going to start filling in our fence line back here. So we're going to start with this tall fence, Put your brush down and just pull it straight down. Now I've got it a little bit crooked. I'm not going to worry about that though, because you know what, on the farm, the fence is crooked. So just pull it down. I got to get more black out. That's not enough. Okay. And then this down here is actually going to be black also. And then we've got our fence that's going to come across through here, and it just comes straight over. And on this side right here, it's going to come off right through here. And if it's a little bent like that, don't worry about it, because it's a piece of wood. Go over the edge where that was, so that your fence post goes right off the edge of your piece of wood. And then we're just going to bring this down here. I'm pressing down as I go so that it starts thinner and gets thicker. I'm going to fill in down here. I'm just going to take my brush and make some flicks of grass, just kind of pulling them along, just slightly flicking, just quick flicks of the brush. Go across the bottom with the black. To keep it consistent looking. Okay, now we're going to keep working this way. I'm not sure what it's saying to me there. It said something. I'm currently doing something. I am currently doing something. I'm not sure what it thinks I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing here. Oh, hi Steve. Thank you for joining me. Let me just pull this across right here. Now once you do that, you might want to come back down, because your fence post should be the outer portion, right? So we can just bring this right from here straight down, just like that. And then we're just going to do like we did before and just make some quick flicks of grass coming up at the bottom, just bringing our brush up, just flicking right off from the bottom straight up. However it comes off the edge of the brush, we aren't going to worry about it. Some of it might even be as tall as the fence. Or taller. There's one. He's very tall. Just pulling it up. Making little individual pieces coming up. Different directions, different heights. That's the trick to grass. Grass does not all grow in the same directions, nor does it grow the same height. So I'm just going to fill this in down here at the bottom. Going to put it right here and kind of bring it at an angle. Right up through here. Get me another glob of paint. I'm going to do the same thing at the same angle, going this way. Then I'm going to go back to this area and pull it back down over the top again. Get a little more of the black paint. Make some more little flicks of grass coming out of here. Oh, there goes my motion sensor outside. I forgot to turn that off before I started. Sorry guys, I do that a lot. I know, I always forget to do that. But, I don't know. Sorry about that. Here we are. Just going to keep working on this here. Now I'm going to start where this scarecrow is at this point. So I'm going to start where his little hand is. He's got his hand coming down right here. That That bristle is already moving. So if it's moving, maybe I can move it. Get it out of here. There we go. Caught it. Caught it in midair. I'm just going to bring this right here. He's got a glove on. And I can see the yellow's still a little bit wet behind him. So I may skip this part for a moment and let him dry. And go on back down to the bottom and work on that some more. But there's his little glove hanging off at the end of the stick. So we'll just come back down here and go back to making some flicks of grass. I'm just pulling it up, just letting the paint do its thing. And I'm going to fill this in down here. And you can leave some of the red showing through down at the bottom. That doesn't hurt anything. Like I left this little area here in the middle. And I'm just kind of doing that so it all has the same directional pull to the bristles, to the paint, to what's left when it dries, when you see the brush movement. I want that brush movement to all be reflected as going upwards, pulling up into the grass. But I'm going to very quickly get this down here with the black. Maybe not as quickly as I'd like. But we're going to get it covered. That's okay. Right here we are. That's going to go to about right there. And then like before, I'm just going to take this and just pull it up and make some quick flicks of grass down here by where his legs are. Just fill this in real quick. Pull this up right in here. Maybe some going that way. Get some more of that grass over here. Just pulling it from the bottom up and just letting it flick out at the end of the brush. There we go. Now we've still got a couple more sections of our fence that we haven't filled in yet, so we need to do that. But first we're going to work down here on his legs. He's got pant legs coming down right here. And he stands in front of the fence, so you're going to see his brush strokes on top of what's going on back there. He's in front. Just going to pull it all the way down into this black. And then he's got some hay sticking out right here. Straw. It's not necessarily hay. I put hay, but it's actually it's straw. Straw and hay, pretty much the same. Not exactly, I know that. There is a difference, yes. I'm not the farmer, though. I'm just drawing some stuff. We're just trying to give him the appearance of having some little pieces sticking out down here, just kind of coming out the edge of his shirt sleeves. So there we go. We're going to fill this in with the black. Just kind of pulling it right through here. That yellow's still drying underneath there, so I'm kind of trying not to press down too firmly because then that pulls the yellow in. trying to give this some of that flicky look to it. Yeah, that looks a little better. Just filling his sleeve in here. He's got a big, thick sleeve. There we go. And then we're going to just work our way right up here into his face. And then he's got some more little pieces of straw sticking out right here out of his shirt collar. Oops, I can see the yellow there. There we go. Pull that right there. There we go. That fixed it. I don't know how well you all can see when I'm messing that up and pulling that yellow through. But it's not really quite dry, but it's good enough. It's good enough for me. I'm going to keep going with it. Here we've got the top of his hat. We're just going to bring that down. Bring this around right here. Kind of a point, but not too much of a point. And it's floppy, so it's just sort of hanging down in that direction there. Get that off of there. There we go. It's got that nice floppy hat look to it. And it comes curving down. It's flopped over, so it's coming out this way on this side over here. His hat's just coming across right there. And I'm just going to fill that in with some black. And just keep going with that. His hat's got the same look on this side that it did on the other side. So I'm going to get my brush and just put it here and press down and pull that way. Whoop. I can see that yellow coming through. There we go. That's better. And then his face comes right around here, just like this. And then we're going to just take this and flick out some more little pieces of straw coming out of his shirt collar on this side. And we're going to do the same thing with his hat up here at the top. We're just flicking us out some straw coming out the top of his hat. And those little bits of yellow that you can see in there, we're not going to worry about it. That's the sunshine flicking through. That's shining through the edge and the top of that. And in fact, we can kind of drag that a little more right there. And then we're going to bring his shoulder over right through here. And his other hand's coming down this way. And he's got the straw coming out of his shirt sleeves. And a glove hanging down, just like on the other side. This little glove comes off this edge right here. Comes down. And then you don't have to make each finger. Don't worry about that. You just then bring a little edge out right there for the thumb. Just an indication of it. And then we're going to make some more little flicks of straw coming out of the shirt sleeve here. Oop. There we go. There, just filling in his shirt's sleeve real quick here. Trying to just kind of curve that around so that the brush strokes indicate the where the sleeve is got all the extra hay sticking out of it, all the extra straw. Okay, and then this comes right here. His chest area goes right there into his jacket. Get a little more black out. And just paint his chest. And his jacket just comes straight off at the side here, and it does the same thing. We've got some more little pieces of hay, straw shooting out of his coat. He's got lots of straw hanging out of him. That is one shaky looking straw. One scarecrow and a half. He's shaky looking. Losing his straw. He might need to go see the wizard. Ha! Gets stuffed again inside of the Emerald City. There we go. Now we've got him pretty well covered. Let's go ahead and paint the rest of our... You can see a little spot. Oop, made a little spot on him, didn't I? Right like this. I'm just making that a little wider where his hat brim is. Now you can see the front of the hat brim. Okay, now let's just finish working right here. We're going to just pull this right through here. And then do the same thing right behind him. Just pull it right through there. And then it's going to go right over here. Off the edge. Get you another glob of paint. Right over here. Off the edge. Oop, kind of screwed that up a little. Let me just drag. There we go. There's some more grass look right there. All right, and then we need to make another fence post coming right down through here. I'm going to just curve this leg a little bit right there and make a couple of little indications of this is where the hay is in the front. With the scarecrow. All right, guys, I think that's it. I think it's finished. I don't think we need to do anything else to it. It's got a little spot right there. What is that? Blow that off. Get that off of there. Make this back in the front of that one right there. It's done. Now I'm thinking to myself, I could always put some very pretty writing up here and put harvest time. And that would look really pretty. That would be very pretty on there. And that's a thought. I'm thinking about doing that. I'm not going to do it right now, though. Right now, I've got a pretty little... right now I see a spot that needs some red right here where I touched it with my hand. Just going to cover that. I'm going to look at this side over here and see if there's any areas that are not covered with paint. Can use a little touch or two right there. But it looks pretty well covered to me. Here's a spot. Where it could just be a little thicker. But I think it turned out pretty good. I like how that looks. And I've got this beautiful sunflower and a couple of leaves that I put together. And I think I'm going to just put that right here at the top with some hot glue. Drill a couple of holes in it right here. And then take me a piece of wire. What is this? This looks like... I don't know. Take that off of there. Now this actually needed a few more little lines of the reddish color in between, which I could do. We could just go over here and get this and touch it into this black. Make me that darker looking red color right there. And then you just come in here and you can just kind of like put just a little indication of light back in behind it. Maybe a bit brighter. Not gonna get too carried away though. Just a few spots that kind of let you see in between the light behind it. Maybe here. And just a little light, just a little bit. Give it a little bit of indication of the sunshine behind it. Can't really see it though, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. I think I'm just going to say this is a done deal. I love how it turned out. I think it's beautiful. I'm going to put this on the top of it right here, put a couple of holes in it, and then I'll take a picture and show you guys how it turns out, how it looks hanging on the door. Really appreciate you being with me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate that. I'll see you again real soon. Bye.